sorry, Mike, thank you.
That's okay. Again, thanks for taking a little time out this morning. I know you guys got jobs waiting for you, and we'll get you out of here as quickly as we can. I'm Mike Smith with Mega Western Sales. We represent Delta Faucet and Brizo Faucet in all of California. Got some folks that flew in here from Indy to help with the process. And girls, come on in. There's a place to sit.
Sure.
Yep. Come on in. This is Suzanne Shreen. She's with Delta. She's our regional sales manager.
Hi there.
Jessica's from Northern California, works with us up there. Tammy Adams works with us, and so does Tim Fish.
I call him this branch.
Tammy calls on this particular showroom and the showroom associates. So you guys all try to funnel your business where you do a lot of business with this particular branch of Ferguson. Kind of businesses, customs, custom R&Rs, custom new construction, all the above?
Service and repair,
Okay, all right,
custom new construction.
all right, good. How many of you are familiar, how many of you have installed a touch faucet? So 3 yeses and 2 nos? Perfect, that's about what we had yesterday morning, and that's a good mix because some guys had some really good input yesterday on some experiences with it, both good and bad, and then some of the new guys were just eating it up and asking questions of their peers or counterparts. So, look, to set the stage here a little bit before I turn it over to these guys, the technical experts, you know, people want technology, they search out technology, they don't even mind paying for technology, and these are not your typical faucets. They're a little more expensive, but people want them. You know, they're showroom quality, they have a unique innovation in how they operate, but you know, let's face it, guys, you're combining electricity with water, and that takes a little bit different set of instructions, okay? You got an instruction book with this one, and I know you guys have been installing faucets your whole careers, and you know, you just like to grab it out of the box, tie it in, tie the water in, check for leaks, and good to go. And for the most part, that works for these as well, but you have a couple of extra steps, and you have to pay some attention to it. And hopefully by the end of today, after we've done a few demonstration installs and we kind of troubleshoot this a little bit, those of you that have installed it before, and by the way, this is jump up out of your seat, raise your hand, throw your comments out here. We're looking for this to be as interactive as you guys want it to be. And those of you that have never installed one, there's no stupid question at all. This is a product that has grown in popularity. We started our conversation yesterday. The guys started up their own conversation about tankless. Can you believe how tankless water heaters are coming on like a freight train, and we're seeing more and more of them. We're getting asked to install more and more of them. And it's not really unlike this. You know, you can't just go into a tank heater. You know, if somebody calls you and says throw a tankless in, the vent's already here, and you got gas sizing you have to do. You have certain things that you have to prepare differently for when you put in a tankless heater. And when you install a touch faucet, you do have to just pay certain attention to, because you guys have all been under these sinks before and you've seen, you know, similar things. Now this one, watch your knee, sorry. This one is set up with pumps and water tanks for operation here, but you know, picture this as a chiller, and picture a disposer that's about 5 times bigger than that. You know, you got all of this stuff. You got filtrations and RO systems and Insta-Hots, all that stuff's going on under the sink. And it all has electricity requirements, and it all has piping requirements, and so you got a lot of stuff going on under there. And you can see there's a fair amount of stuff going on under here too. And there's just some things that you need to be conscious of. So by the time we're done today, you'll see that I want to tell you what's our purpose for wanting to do this. First off, there's a whole group of people out there in that showroom that love selling this. It's a nice price point, and again, like I said, we've been advertising it. Homeowners love the whole concept, they love the idea. They want to buy it, they want it in their homes. But the worst thing that can happen is if they go through all that process, pay 2 times what they were going to pay for a faucet, and then they have chronic little problems that, you know, they take it out on the product, they take it out on the showroom associate, and that only happens for so long, and then they'll stop selling it. So typically, I've been under probably 40 or 50 of these sinks myself, and I would tell you, in almost every occasion, I found out some quirky little thing that just hasn't been installed right. Got a wire cross, got a battery pack in the wrong place, a number of different things that we'll walk through before we're done here this morning. So just asking for for a group of guys to come in here, and that what we'd like for you to get out of this is a better working knowledge of this, some things to look for, easier troubleshooting. We'd like to be able to refer you guys when they come in and they sell a touch faucet. We'd like them to say, hey, I've got 4, 5, 6 guys that are certified and well trained in this, and try to get you a little bit more business, but help you also after you've installed one not to have to go through the hassle of having to go back in and troubleshoot it for reasons that you don't understand. So hopefully by the time we're done, we're good to go on that. So I'm going to turn it over to Scott and Spencer. Like I said, they're going to walk you through some of the other innovations. And this, guys, this is all about innovation, really. We can, as a faucet manufacturer, there's 1,000 of us out there. And we can try to fight the battle for market share by price points and try to fight it out in the trenches on who's got the cheapest faucet. We try to take the high road and go in an innovation category. And you're going to see a lot of that from Delta Faucet and from Brizo Faucet as we go through the years to come, because we find ourselves to be the technology leader. So we just want you guys to be comfortable with the product and to continue to use it and recommend it. So with that, I'll turn it over to these guys.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
You bet.
Again, as Mike said, my name's Scott Sindel. I think I met all you guys. So again, thanks for coming in this morning. I've been with Delta several years. I kind of grew up testing the product, taking it apart, understanding how it goes back together, how the product wears over a lifetime. And last few years, I've been involved with the customer solutions team. So we are technical support for rep agencies, technical support for plumbers in the field when they're installing products. This is Spencer Stoller. Spencer?
Spencer Stoller. I've been with Delta for 12 years now. I also started on the technical side of it, taking the faucets apart, testing them, understanding how they work. Early on in my career is when we, as a company, decided to start to get into touch faucets. And so we came out with a faucet 7 years ago. That was the Brizo Pascal. And I was heavily involved in the development of that and the testing and debugging. And so I have a lot of knowledge on what we do to make touch work in our faucets and the technology that goes into it. And also a lot of knowledge on what we need to do for it to work properly. So I know about a lot of the challenges out there, and I know I'm pretty good at troubleshooting. So I've become what we call the PMK, which is person most knowledgeable. That's sometimes rewarding, and sometimes it's a curse. This is an example of when it's rewarding, so I get to come out and try to get some reactions and some stories and put some stuff together to try to help you guys understand some of the critical things that we need to do to have success rates at installs, not off callbacks. But more importantly, I want to share with you the knowledge. I want to try to take that curtain, this is what I call the Wizard of Oz. I want to pull that curtain back and let you see what's going on behind the scenes and give you some insight onto what exactly is going on in here and how are we taking this technology and making it produce water when you tap it.
Okay, so I'm going to start just giving you guys an overview of some products. And just to let you know, the blue's not on here because we're not flipping switches back here to make this work and stuff, okay? It's just so you can see better without seeing through. So, just to start off, this is a Madison Model 9192T. And, what makes it a touch faucet, there's a couple components that make this a touch faucet, because you can also order this product as a non-touch, right? Just a manual faucet. So, a couple key components that make it touch are this component down here we call the LED base. So you can see as I touch the faucet, LED light lets you know it's operating okay, so that's a component that makes it touch. And then the main component down here, solenoid valve, okay? And if we get a call from a customer, they're talking about replacing a solenoid valve, we are talking about this is the solenoid valve, not just this electrical component down here. We call the whole thing the solenoid valve. If we're going to replace it, we call this the solenoid valve. It's completely in here, okay? And then also we have to provide power to it, so we have a battery pack over here. 6 AA batteries here to provide power to it. And then we also have check valves. So on the touch faucet, critical piece to install are the check valves, okay? And we'll get into that later when we do the install, okay? So those are a couple components that make it unique and that are needed for a touch faucet. So how does it work, okay? So, or how do we use it basically is what we're going through. So I can operate this like a manual faucet. I can, as I grab the handle, turn it back off. As I grab the handle, it's gonna turn on. It knows that as I grab the handle, I want water to come on. So it's gonna come on. Blue light's telling me I've got water flow.
What?
I can operate hot and cold water just like any other manual faucet. I can turn it back off, okay? Now, as I turn it off, the light's on, but the water goes off, right? Because I've turned it off just like any other manual valve, okay? If I want to, you know, physically turn off the electronics, I can touch it again. So it's active on all these spots. It's active here. It's active on the handle, like we just showed. It's also active up on the spout. Okay. Now, if we turn it on, let's turn it back off here. If I want water to flow again, I just touch the spout. Blue light comes on. And again, built into the electronics, if I want to grab the spout and rotate it, it's not gonna turn on and off, right? So it recognizes a grab versus a touch. It's saying, okay, they're grabbing it, they're holding for a longer period of time than just a touch. It's gonna stay on as I move it around, okay? So that is operation of, and or how does it work? How does it, you know, as you use it, how do you use it, okay? Not active on the wand, right? We wouldn't want this to turn on and off as we're pulling the wand out and using it, so it's not an active part of the touch. Okay? All right, a couple other products I want to talk about. You have any questions with just how to use the faucet? Okay.
Do your hands have to be dry?
No. Hands can be wet. We talk about different things. People wear gloves, right? I know that depending on the thickness of the glove, like a latex glove, a thin latex glove will work. We talked about the yellow vinyl gloves. I think they're kind of hit and miss. I think some of those are thicker. You know, they may or may not work. But the hands being wet are fine, yeah. And we also know marketing, you know, talks about using elbows and things to operate if your hands are dirty. That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Just to be a plumber's advocate, is the tip of the spout or the top of the spout supposed to be just as sensitive or just a little less sensitive as down toward the base of the faucet?
I would say, Spencer, I'll let you,
No,
it should be as
it's not.
sensitive.
It's all equally sensitive.
Yeah. It's built into the software, Tim, the way that works, but it should be active just as well here as it is here. And we'll talk about why it may not be on an installation, what can happen, yeah. Good point. Okay, next product I want to point, and let me back up here. We would consider, and you'll know Spencer talk about this, we would consider this an integrated faucet, where we mean integrated, the valve is integrated with the spout as one component, okay? Versus, we call this a widespread, okay? And I've got actually two products on here, don't get confused here. This is part of the 4380T-DST model. It's a widespread touch faucet. It normally comes with a vegetable side spray. I just left it off for display purposes, okay? So this is a widespread model, and again, really the same functionality. I can operate this like a manual faucet, and it's gonna come on. I can adjust my water temperature, turn it back off here. I can leave it on and just simply deactivate the solenoid, right, water's off. Again, turn it on, and I can grab the spout and rotate it. So very similar in operation to this, it's just, we call this a widespread model, okay? And so we'll get into the differences there about, it's got two wires that feed it, for the signal versus a one wire application, okay? All right. A newer product that is just shipping now is a touch beverage faucet. One thing you'll notice different about this, there's no handle on it, okay? So I know during the development phase, the question came up, well, you know, how do you actually then turn it off in manual mode, or, you know, what if you want to clean it? So it does have an override button on the front here, okay? So, but again, normal operation, I can touch it on and off, I can grab the spout, has all the features of the other products, right? It knows not to turn off there. It also has, as I just mentioned, an override button. So let's turn it back off. It's got an LED in the front there. If I push the button, you're just gonna see it blinking red, which means it's not in touch mode. So now nothing would activate it. I can't touch it anywhere to activate it. Okay, just useful for cleaning, you know, something like that. And then simply turning it back on puts it back in touch mode. So now should be active. Okay. This model also incorporates an air gap. Okay. So if, and really only if an air gap is required, would you need to use this system here. If your municipality requires an air gap system be installed, it's already incorporated into the model. If it's not needed, you can simply cut this red and black line off. okay? But this would be, if you're installing an RO system, it needs that air gap incorporated into it, that's what this is used for, all right? And guys, later, if you're stepping up here looking at the product, you're gonna notice on the back, there's basically a cover, just a little cover on the back. And that is covering up the air gap port. So, and it talks about the instructions, if you're using this air gap system, you just pull the cover off, so it opens up the air gap. Okay. So, this model, again, a little different in how it's set up. So, it really only has one feed. This is a beverage faucet. We recommend, I know early on we talked about with some customers and some reps that this device could be used with warm water, maybe like up to 140 degrees or what your normal hot water heater would be set at. We've since kind of backtracked on that or backed up and said, well, this model was never fully evaluated at higher temperatures or hot water. So we recommend just a cold water single supply for this faucet. Okay, so it's got one inlet coming in. Again, you have your solenoid valve feeds into the faucet. Okay, so single source supply, cold water recommended. All right. Last product I want to talk about is a touch lav. So this is a 538T. Okay, and so one thing with all these models, you recognize this is a little bit different solenoid construction. Looks a little bit different here, and these are unique. You would not put this solenoid on one of the kitchen faucets. Okay, they do have unique part numbers on them. They are not interchangeable for functionality. Okay, they are designed for unique products. Okay, so for the lab, it does have a unique solenoid here that I want to point out. So this model, and I've left this hang tag on here intentionally, this model is actually a touch faucet and a proximity faucet. All right, so this faucet can be touched on and off, okay? But I can also put it into a proximity mode, which means once I turn it on, I can come into this field of about 4 inches within the faucet to activate it, okay? So, the unique thing about this product, it's also sold in the retail field, right? So, the retail model looks almost identical to this. So, as you going out in the field, if you were troubleshooting this model or taking a look at it, you may not recognize that this model would have proximity or would not have proximity built in. All right. So one way you can tell, if you're looking at the solenoid, it would have a part number on it that you guys could identify or get a hold of us to identify whether this is a proximity model or not. Or simply just go through the turning it on and off feature that I'm going to talk about in a second. Okay. So this hang tag comes on the product. It basically tells you how to activate or deactivate the proximity mode. So I'm going to step you through that, all right? So it basically says touch the faucet 6 times within 4 seconds, and then we'll wait for a red and blue light to flash, and then we'll touch it 6 times again, and that'll turn on and off the proximity mode. Because a lot of people, they get the product, touch is fine, they really don't want the proximity. It's more of a nuisance than anything. So that is available for them to turn on and off, okay? So we got the camera rolling. I hope this works the first time, all right? Picked up my finger, then we'll try it again here. There it goes. Okay, so now it's in proximity mode. Proximity mode, the difference would be the light's going to blink as it's in proximity mode when it's operating, okay? The light's flashing blue. Okay.
Does it weaken as the batteries get weaker?
The LED or the field?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so, no. No, it should be active as long as the batteries are, have power. Yeah, there's a threshold. I don't know what that threshold voltage is, but, we'll talk about it on these other faucets where we have a red light indicator. I believe this has the same red light indicator as the battery power goes down. You'll see it flashing once every 5 seconds, which tells you at that point it's time to change the batteries. And then it goes to a mode where the batteries are completely dead. Yeah, okay. So now I can basically, faucet's on, I can leave it on. And I can just bring my hands within that field to operate it. Okay. And as I move my hands out of that field, there's probably about a 2 or 3 second delay before it turns itself off. Okay. I mentioned this tag again because there's not a lot of places in our product or instructions where we talk about how to turn on and off that proximity. This is in the box, and this steps you through it. Okay, and it's a hang tag on the faucet. So, reason they do that, that retail model. does not have proximity on it. It is only this trade model that has the proximity, but there's only one instruction sheet for both models, so they didn't want to incorporate the proximity in here if the model really didn't have it, didn't have that feature set, okay? It's on this tag that explains proximity.
You talked about already, I'm sorry, it's about a little bit, but the IR sensor and the difference between.
No.
Well, I before I have to run out for a little bit, because I like to go through and we'll have these things for you. You know, we're not the only guys, we led the field, but now we've got a lot, as always happens, got a lot of tag team piling on, going on from
Copycats.
competitors, copycats, you know, in different fields of the electronics faucets. But, you know, I think most of your familiarity with electronic faucets are from airports or public restrooms where you see the little IR sensor. That's not this technology, not even remotely this technology, and these guys will explain a little bit better to you, but I wanted to turn my phone off is what I wanted to do. You know, the problems with that kind of sensitivity is his shirt and my shirt are gonna react differently to that. Distances away from that, it all has to be calibrated. And once you get it perfectly calibrated in the Burbank Airport, first kid that comes in there with his penknife and wants to, you know, just vandalize because they love to vandalize, can mess with that, you can scratch it up and it changes everything about that. I've seen gum over them, I've seen, you know, they have that weakness point, they have that failure point. And then I've seen people standing there doing the, you know, what I call the faucet dance, trying to get the damn thing to turn on, you know. And again, it's reacting differently to different skin colors, shirt colors, distances away from the faucet, how, you know, exactly where do you put your hand. And so our competitors, we'll let you guys take this out of here with you. But at the top are, of course, Delta and our luxury line Brizo, both sister companies, and both on display out here. Just really talking about the comparisons, okay? These guys, Moen, Kohler, and Grohe came in later. Most of them are using that sense, IR, that motion sense technology, all right? And they're going to tell you that, you know, interaction with the faucet is not what people want, you know, the touch on and off. But honestly, that's probably the best, when we talk to customers, and we talk especially to, you know, cooks in the kitchen. I don't mean just women, because I cook a lot, and I know some of these other guys do too. But just the ability to touch this faucet anywhere with dirty hands or whatever, and its ability to turn off, saving water, and all the other features that these guys will go through, makes that, and then to us, a superior technology. That's the feedback we've had, and all of the other things that are wrong with that other IR technology is why we leapfrogged and went into our own direction on this. So when you see the Kohlers and the Grohes and the Moens spouting, you know, no pun intended, that they got a better technology, don't believe them. In fact, those of you that put these in, and again, put them in right, the homeowner loves this technology. And those of you who have yet to put them in, you'll find